Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in today's virtual media presentation. We are fortunate to have journalists from the leading titles across Southeast Asia joining us today as we share updates on Zalora's live streaming initiative. And hear from our Zalora CEO, Ms. Gunjan Soni, and our technology partner, BeLive Technology CEO, Mr. Kenneth Tan, on their thoughts on the future of retail and live streaming in Southeast Asia. We'll also share some numbers from our first week of broadcasts across Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines. And last week, as a special surprise, we also are joined by the host of ZTV, Vijay Singh from Singapore, Janeena Chan and Juan from the Philippines, and Alika Islamadina from Indonesia. To kick off this morning's virtual presentation, let me share a quick recap of what happened last week when we launched ZLive. And after that, we will share an overview of Zalora's foray in producing content in the last 9 years. And of course, share with you the live stream opportunity in Southeast Asia. We will then proceed with a live panel with our CEO, Ms. Gunjan Soni, and Kenneth Tan, CEO of BeLive Technology, and also hear from our celebrity guests. So without further ado, here's a quick recap and quick look of last week's show. So on this slide, you see various features for ZLive app, from being able to view the products as the hosts are sharing and having picture-in-picture functionality. And you can also watch the ZLive shows while shopping on Zalora. So I hope all, if not most of you, were able to tune in and watch the shows last week. But fret not if you missed it, because we will continue to broadcast Zalora's signature shows in the coming weeks. And of course, we are always out for good content. As promised, let me share a quick overview of how the shows performed in last week's broadcast, as some of you are from business publications. So looking at the performance from last week, we can see that a lot of people have actually participated. We have 15 shows and have engaged around 35 hosts and influencers from across the region to join us. Out of this, 16% of the viewers are actually new to Zalora. So we are pretty successful in trying to get new viewers to join us. And one of the more important parts of it is that we've seen that in terms of the share of ZLive visitors with the mobile app visitors on that day, we have up to 9% of that share. So it's a big jump. So people who visited the app, 9% of them actually watched ZLive during that time. So to go on to a closer look at it, I think let's go to the Philippines and look at how the ZLive helped us really improve things for Nike. So we've seen that when we had the sneaker show up, we had a 30.6 increase of new users during the pilot week, which also gave us 21% increase in total user share during the live shows. What's more important is we've seen a significant peak of Nike in terms of unique searches in both desktop and mobile during and after the show. So definitely getting people interested with the brands and with the products was pretty effective as we've gone through the live stream. But the live stream is actually just one part of what we do in Zalora in terms of content. I think through the years, we've always been a big believer of how content will drive engagement, both on the brands and our customers. So one of the first things we did in 2012 was really to create our own original content. So all our campaigns, everything we see on the website are all shot and produced by the team in Zalora. So you actually see all those 9 years of worth of content as you go to the website, as you go to our YouTube page, as we share a lot of this content. But more importantly, we've also tried to put in innovation in terms of our content journey. So with this producing of content, we've also partnered with a lot of our brand partners. For example, in 2019, we've actually helped Nike localize their hyperlocal campaign. So we shot and produced a Southeast Asia version of the Nike Hyperflora campaign. And this is one of those projects that we are really proud of because of the direct benefits it gave to the brand. And at the same time, we've replicated it with different partners. We've also been the first to actually introduce VR in events. When we launched Top Shop and Top Man, across Southeast Asia, then we were the first to use the VR technology as part of the program. I think 2015, even when before, VR gadgets were a thing, we were partnering with Google and had a Google Cardboard to accompany us during that event. So it's always a prerogative for us to actually combine both entertainment and technology in what we do. More than that, we've also tried to bridge the gap between offline and online. So in our recent Zalora Fashion Festival, we've tried to produce both the offline experience and had the online shopping experience in one go. We've also worked with our partners such as Diva and NBC Universal in having shoppable videos way back in 2018 and 2019. And of course, you know that we've been involved with producing great content for Southeast Asia, from producing Asia's Next Top Model to having How Do I Look for 3 years. And of course, the recent one, Style Me Now, which aired on E! And on Diva. We've also engaged with influencers from across the region, having our own Z Crew. And of course, this year, we've also rolled out our community influencers program to have both the micro influencers engaged in our content creation and getting people interested in Zalora. So with that, we can see that Zalora has always been a big believer of content as we engage and partner with a lot, not only with brands, but industry partners. We've also seen an opportunity of live streaming, and that's why we're doing live streaming right now. As we saw in how the pandemic has changed consumption behavior of media, we're seeing that we've had a lot of adoption during this period, during 2020 H1 and H2, wherein we've jumped an increase from 13 to 67% who are participating in live streaming. We've also seen 48% of businesses started to dip their toes and tried live streaming as an option for them. But more importantly, I think we're seeing that it's becoming more popular as there are more 600 million hours logged in just live streaming across Southeast Asia in 2020. With that, we are seeing that definitely, next slide, please. We're definitely seeing that there's a 306% increase in general merchandise value that was spent through live streaming. We've seen 67% of retailers, as mentioned, really trying their best in engaging consumers through this in various different apps. And of course, the average days between the transaction where consumers actually make from the moment they view is around within the next 3 days, which is a very high rate and very increasing basket size and frequency for both retailers. And we're seeing a bright future for it because we're seeing that 68% of the population are Gen Zers who are basically glued to their phones. And these Gen Zers will be the future consumers of the region. So moving on to a deep dive of the whole live streaming opportunity, we have with us two of the most competent people that would probably answer most of these questions. So we have Ms. Gunjan Soni, our CEO for Zalora, to answer the questions. And with her is Mr. Kenneth Tan from BeLive Technology. So good morning, Gunjan, and good morning, Kenneth.
Hey, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Morning, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for having spent time going through all this. Hopefully you watch all the shows and enjoyed it. We'll have some of the host to join us later, but we have seen live streaming shopping and social commerce really take off in China a few years ago, and now the world seems to be playing catch up to the trend. But I'd like to hear from you, why is live streaming gaining popularity in Southeast Asia? Why only now? And why do you think this is the perfect time? Gunjan, maybe you can share your thoughts on this?
Sure, I'm very happy to kick off, Chris, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for to the hosts who've been doing a wonderful job in all our pilot shows, and also to all the journalists for kindly joining in today and tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the real experience, because this is how the live stream happens also on our app platform. So why now, and why is the trend booming? The way I see it is that there are 2 or 3 very favorable trends from a demand perspective that are definitely helping. First and foremost, we all know that the infrastructure for streaming has improved dramatically, and I'm sure Kenneth will talk more about it later. You know, he and his team have been leading the way on this. But beyond the streaming infrastructure, there is also, you know, the classic problem of not having sufficient bandwidth, and that's changing a lot in Southeast Asia. And especially as people adapted to the more work from home approach during the pandemic, that's also led to more investment in having sufficient bandwidth, which has been one of the biggest blockers for adoption of any kind of streaming, but particularly live streaming, because you don't really have the option to download and then you miss the engagement. So I think that's definitely one very favorable trend. You combine it with the demographic advantage that Chris, you talked about earlier. So a combination of both Gen Z, but you know what we've been seeing, and as it was clear in the engagement received on Zalora, is that people across all age groups are warming up to it, and they're also looking for avenues to engage. So people are now very used to social media as channels for engaging on topics more broadly. But most of these channels have not brought in as much of the live technology as they did in the last 2 years. And as people got more and more trained on that, I think then has come this next evolution when you combine the live streaming also with shoppable content, which is really where the retailers step in. So I think these 2 have been very, very favorable trends. And the third trend is more a supply trend than a demand trend, which is that, you know, all of us as retailers and brands are participating. So the more high quality content that comes out, you know, the more the medium becomes popular. We've seen it, how streaming services first invested in original content, and that led to very strong competition for traditional broadcasters. The same is going to happen, and I do believe the quality of content will define the winners and losers. So we obviously believe that investing in that quality of content, which comes with fantastic influencers and hosts as well, is super critical. So I think those are the 3 trends that are really, you know, making it very, very special time. And this is not going to go away. I think the next 3 to 5 years will be almost the golden age for live streaming.
Agreed. So good morning, everybody. Thanks, Gunjan. You're actually spot on in most of your observations. We also see the increased quality of live video content, as you mentioned, being a huge factor in the reception of live streaming. Obviously, the acceleration of the COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately as well, has forced a lot of retailers to seek increased digital presences. Not only retailers, right, individual merchants, even entrepreneurs who start selling on Facebook Live. And from now on, they will sell on Zalora Live, I'm sure, right? So these are the factors that we see pushing really quickly the adoption of live streaming in Southeast Asia. Also, in general, the social commerce trend has been really being accelerated because of the pandemic as well. A lot of authenticity and trust is being, there's a lot of focus on being authentic and being trustworthy when you create content. And it applies directly to e-commerce online shoppers as well. When if we want to see really good reviews and really true reviews, not just a sponsored stuff. So live streaming is actually fully authentic. You make mistakes, it directly goes on air, right? So you can't edit it. And that's one of the reasons as well, I think users and online shoppers in Southeast Asia being more receptive to this communication medium. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Gunjan. And definitely, I think during the pandemic, I find myself consuming more and more content. I don't even care where it's from. I just like, at the end of the day, I just wanted to consume more content. So I think this is actually a good marriage. But what do you think makes live stream shopping or social commerce a compelling platform for retailers and brands? Because, I think a lot of people are saying, hey, why do I need to buy something when I'm watching? Why are people fascinated by it? What do you think about this, Kenneth, since you built a whole business around it?
Yeah, so this is really what we feel is live shopping is really transformative. It takes a non-interactive medium, traditionally like video, and turns it into an engaging experience. And then you have the fantastic hosts of, for BeLive, for example, really engaging and showing a different side of themselves to their fans, to their followers. And this is super, super authentic. As I mentioned, I always come back to authenticity because it is very important for live stream shopping shows, right? So this drives trust levels of shoppers incredibly high, right? So it's very compelling, and people think that, hey, this person who's talking to me on the live stream is like my friend, so I can trust him, I can trust her, right? So that's something that really drives conversions as well, right? We see on average from our customers an add to cart rate of 30%, which is incredibly high. Traditional e-commerce add to cart rate is like 2%. So of course the caveat is there's less viewers, right? But still the level of interactivity and engagement only bodes well for e-commerce platforms and retailers.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Kenneth. And I do think that it is a definite win for us. But in terms of opportunity for brands, Gunjan, do you think bigger brands have an advantage over smaller brands in live stream shopping? Or is live stream shopping something a level playing field for everyone? And why do you think so?
I think first of all, just to be of interact with each other, first of all, closer to that interaction is therefore going to be more popular form eventually. So I think that's why it's becoming more and more popular for sure. The brands and retailers, from their perspective, I see two main objectives being fulfilled. One is driving awareness, which is what traditional content has also done. And then second is to drive conversions. I think in the Zalora approach for us, engagement and awareness is perhaps even more important in the way we are viewing the role of content. Because if the consumer is inspired, they're informed, their questions, people have so many questions, especially about beauty products. They want tips on how to make the best of their sneakers. And that information, first and foremost, as retailers, I think is very important for us to be able to share with them. So far, we've been doing it with just written content, with ratings, reviews, better descriptions. But now they have the ability to interact with experts, with influencers who they admire. So I think that's wonderful, and I think it helps us as a society overall. So I think that's super important. Now, is it a level playing field? I think absolutely. So much like what digital content started to do, because you don't need huge budgets. First and foremost, that's the biggest barrier to entry for smaller players. And most forms of digital content are less expensive than doing massive productions and then trying to get them disseminated in the larger group. So definitely, much like the digital advertising industry started to disrupt some of the broader awareness choices, I think this creates a fantastic and more democratic playing field, if I were to use the word, for various types of brands to engage. The quality of content ultimately will be the winner, because what we are trying to do at Zalora is really create a platform for brands to showcase. But how well you produce the content, how well you're able to inspire your consumers is then what will define the winners and the losers. And over a period of time, brands will also learn how to use, more technical platforms like this better and better.
Thank you, Gunjan. And definitely, I agree that, with everything that you said. I think you actually answered my next question, which is, what are the success indicators aside from selling out products? I think engagement and awareness is pretty important. I think we've shared in the earlier part on how, for example, in the Philippines, after the sneaker show, we had a massive surge with the Nike Dunks. So that actually gives you an indicator that it actually picks a lot of interest. So going on to my next question, and I think this is something that I also like to ask Kenneth, with more brands exploring to expand their presence online, including scaling up their e-commerce presence, how do you believe brands should think about their future online strategy?
Yeah, so we believe that the future of e-commerce is personalization and sentiment-based shopping. So this is something that live streaming can really push to the next level. So when I talk about personalization, obviously you have traditional user personas being created, right? Engagement is also very important that live streaming addresses. The last point that I spoke about, sentiment-based shopping, is something that we feel only live streaming can bring to the next level for e-commerce users, right? So what this means is we can then understand better from the users based on the comments they're making in the stream, and form perceptions or predictions on what kind of products or what kind of users they are, right? What kind of products they like, what kind of users they are, based on sentiments that are being analyzed during the live stream. So yeah, for brands who are looking to expand their presence, that's not necessarily just enough to create a search to buy experience, list products, allow you to search for them, right? So what Zalora is doing really well is content-based promotions and marketing and product shows. So that's something that's super important, we feel, moving forward for brands. Yeah.
Thank you, Kenneth. Any thoughts on this, Gunjan, in terms of how we connect with consumers and the whole idea of authenticity, which both you and Kenneth have spoken on in the last few minutes?
Yeah, I would just re-emphasize the importance of quality of content. And the way I see it is, on one hand, the products that get showcased are the heart of what you're trying to offer. But the people who are hosting the show and bringing it alive and the interactivity are in some ways the soul, right? And which is that would be wonderful to hear from some of them later on their thoughts. But to me, that's especially when you have influences you can relate to, and they're local from your own community. That is when you can bridge the trust barrier. And then you combine it with the right products which matter to that community. And then you've created content that really resonates. And that's when you start seeing the engagement. And it's well known in the world of marketing that when you have highly engaged consumers, they will shop. They may not shop immediately during the show, but like you said, they more or less come back and shop in the next 3 days. Maybe some of them will even come back and shop in the next 1 month. So that to me is very important. This is proven in the world of normal content streaming as well, that the better and higher quality the content, the more the loyalty to the platform. So I think that's really what brand and retailers need to focus on. I think it's important they don't get too commercial too quickly, but focus on driving the right degree of engagement, quality of content, and building that trust with their consumers first.
Thank you. I mean, one of the things that we've done in Zalora is that we have individual shows in Indonesia, in the Philippines, and Singapore. So it just begs the question, Southeast Asia is a complex and diverse region. How important it is to localize in both planning and conceptualizing live stream show? Because this is a very different approach from different brands. Some actually went on probably and tried to reach out in one go, but we decided to do it individually in individual markets. How important is localization in this case then?
It's the most critical. I already answered it for you, Chris. If the influencer and the community is the soul of what you're trying to put out in your content, it has to be local. It has to be very relatable people, but at the same time, people from whom you can learn and who can bring some form of expertise, either from a style advice perspective or a deeper product knowledge perspective, depending upon the product category you're talking about. So yes, you need to tailor for the geography, you need to tailor for consumer segments within that geography, and then you need to tailor also by the category and what consumers are really looking for in terms of gaining knowledge in that particular aspect.
Thank you, Gunjan. I think this would be the last question for both of you. Any thoughts on this, Kenneth? Because you've done live stream for different partners. How do you think is a localization or a localized approach help brands or at least the consumers in terms of engaging with the content?
Extremely crucial. So localization is extremely important, but culturally as well, the context that exists within different geographies and different regions also has to be emphasized, right? And only local productions, local KOLs, and local hosts can truly bring this to life. Because you can get for example, Korean superstar to stream online, but you can't get him to speak in the local language as well as a local KOL will. And live streaming is all about being authentic, as we constantly emphasize, and the quality of production, quality of the host is extremely important. So all of our partners, and I think Zalora is doing this extremely well based on the engagement metrics that we've seen, right? The local KOLs and hosts are the key, absolutely the key to creating a successful live streaming show.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Kenneth and Gunjan, for sharing your thoughts. I think it's truly insightful and helpful for us. And if you do have questions in the media, you can type your questions in the chat and we'll go and ask the panel after this. But now, we've started talking about the role of the KOLs or influencers in the program. So let's now go meet the people who are both the face and the voice of Zalora in our shows. With us today is Vijay Singh from Singapore, Janeena Chan and Juan from the Philippines, and Alika Islamadina from Indonesia. So can I ask the host to please turn on your video? Janeena, Vijay, Richard, and Alika.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
It says the host has stopped it.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
we can't start our own video.
Hello for now. This is a teaser.
This is a teaser. Well, you can see that
ASMR.
even.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Hello, I think Janeena, you can turn on your camera.
There, okay. Hi,
Yeah,
everyone. Like the
Hi,
video.
everyone.
I understand they're watching via the BeLive app, so give us some likes.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Janeena, Alika, Vijay, and Richard for joining us. We're super happy to have you. I mean, I've been watching your shows last week, and thank you so much for really becoming the face and voice of Zalora, and truly the best ambassadors for us. As we've seen, there's so many people liking, commenting. I think we were barraged with a lot of comments during your show. So I think most of you have your own shows, and I think I'd like to know, how is hosting a shopping live stream different from your usual social media videos or hosting your own shows? What do you think is the most enjoyable part of hosting a shopping live stream? I think I'll start with you, Janeena, since you have a more regular program, I think.
Hi everyone. So hi, I'm Janeena from the Philippines, where we love pageantry and we definitely love shopping, and social media is our thing. I think it's everyone's thing, but in the Philippines especially, we're really highly engaged on social media. We're kind of addicted. But yeah, when it comes to live stream hosting, I think also for me as a host, I like it more somehow, just because it feels more fun and real, and I know that I'm actually talking to a live audience. So at the same time, because I also host for live events, it's a little bit similar, and it's also similar to when hosting for a taped show. So it's like a hybrid of both. So you get kind of like the best of both worlds, like when it's glossy enough for it to be a high quality show, but it's also engaging and real enough because it is live. So I think just that alone has so much power, because you can literally see how many people are watching you, the names of these people, the usernames, and when you give them a shout out, it just makes their day, to be honest, and they feel seen. And you know how important that is in today's world, especially now that we can't really meet friends as often as we could. So it kind of just makes us all more, I don't know, more unified. It feels like more of a community rather than like just shopping and scrolling through a screen, or even on a physical store, in a physical store. And I think it's really the the content, as you mentioned, and all the call to actions. Like just for them, knowing that they can purchase a certain item that they've been wanting to, and there are also limited time offers, it just kind of adds like the excitement of the overall experience. Add to cart, give us some hearts, and all those, like, again, the call to actions and the giveaways, all of that. It's not just one element. There are several different layers to creating an ideal live stream show. And yeah, it's just fun altogether. And after taping for each live stream show, I just feel so fun. Like I mean, it feels so fun. I feel happy personally too. It feels like I attended like a social gathering at the same time, because
that's
I'm
pretty
connected
good.
to
I mean, now with limited social gatherings, having that feeling of community and connection, even virtually, has really helped a lot of people, and especially in mental health, I guess. But of course, aside from that, Alika, I think you've also done a lot of performances. How is this very different from the usual stuff that you do?
I think just like what Janeena said, I think it was very interesting with all the call to actions. I mean, I have never been on a show that we can actually shop. Meanwhile, we're talking, and the audience can actually shop the things that we're wearing. So I think it was very interesting, and all the giveaways. I think that's what make people very interested in trying all the stuff that we're wearing. So yeah, I think it's a really fun experience. And I wasn't the host, I was only the guest star, but then it was really, really fun. So yeah, and I think it's also like a good platform for us to chat with the audience and also chat with our other friends in fashion. So I think it's really interesting.
Okay, we've heard from the girls. Let's now hear from the boys. Vijay, you've led us through a lot of sneaker conversations a few nights ago. Your thoughts on live streaming and how it's different from your usual gigs?
Yeah, so for me, I think this is the future. And I think Zalora's actually taking this a big step, and everybody's gonna be modeling this down the line. And this is gonna be, I hate to use the word new normal, but it is the new normal. It is, and Zalora's kind of done that. So my background is that I work in media production. So I work for Vice Media, and I've been working on media for many years now, and I've been hosting events in real life as well. And over the last year, because of this sort of like pandemic COVID situation, what's happened is this more immediacy. It's no longer about like, big budget, you go out into like make a big TV commercial or anything like that anymore. It's actually more about the immediacy of content arriving at your screens, being more relevant, being more personalized, and telling you and showing you that authenticity and explaining that culture to you. So if you are into sneakers, then that's what you zone in and on, right? And because of this sort of circumstance, we're zoning in even more into the things that we love and things that we like. And I think that's what's very important. So like for me, when I was like my co-host there, or my guest, is like what I realized was like, hey, I was like, learning so much about sneakers at the same time. And I was sharing this with an audience that was clued in on the Zalora app. And we were having conversations. So it kind of felt very real and very immediate. It was not about like I think what Kenneth was saying just now about a K-pop star, like so far away from everybody else. He's in his mansion shooting $1 billion ad or whatever. This is live and direct, specific to your country, specific to your sort of interest, to your culture, to your needs. And the immediacy of it, like clicking and buying, using that promo code or whatever it is so relevant to the person watching it. And you can say hi to these people you're talking, ask them questions about the shoes, and say, hey, does this come in? Like, what does the outside of the sole feel like? Is it suede? Is it leather? And we can tell you right away on the show, like, hey, it's leather, or hey, it's suede. That to me is sort of like revolutionary about this sort of platform. Is learning about it and clicking and buying it and knowing that it fits you and who you are. And that's amazing, like mind blown.
Definitely. I think, it's like having a friend telling you, oh, I like this color. Oh, it's actually bluish than the usual. Or if you really like loud colors, this is it. I think there's, again, the connection and the authenticity as part of that whole experience. And I think you guys, do a terrific job in being able to communicate this. It's really like talking to a friend and, well, convincing them to consider a product, I guess. But more than that, I think it's really a conversation about the interest, the friends in fashion, beauty, all these programs that we've created is really about getting segmented interests and really sharing your thoughts. And of course, Richard, I'm not done with all the hosts. I need to ask you, what do you think is the most enjoyable experience for you in terms of hosting a live stream for Zalora?
Wow, I mean, everyone before me, Vijay, Janina, and Alika. Sorry, yeah, you guys have said pretty much everything that I wanted to say already. So I guess I'll just echo what Kenneth and also what Vijay said. This is such a personal thing compared to having a Korean star endorse something, because when you see an endorser and all that, a Korean endorser or a Hollywood endorser, you see things they're very distanced. And just echoing what everyone said, it's really more about the personal touch. It's about sharing your perspective on how things are, and people who watch you, they'll be like, this guy, yes, although he's a live stream host, although he's a celebrity, although he's an influencer or whatever, they still feel the real connection, the genuine connection with you, so they can feel that it's relatable, and hence why they would be into shopping. And for me, my experience here is I'm just having fun. Like I have two shows right now of Z Live, and I'm very blessed to have two shows, and they're both super fun because Janina is one of my co-hosts, and we just genuinely have fun and chit chat and talk about products, talk about shopping. And the other is with Angelique Manto, where our last episode is style challenge, where we pretty much have guests that we challenge them into like mixing and matching styles, which is what I usually would probably do with my friends, and we're just doing it on live. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, this is a question I need to ask everyone. I mean, have you ever shopped during live stream, or have you shopped on a live stream platform before? Because I think one of the things is like, it's one thing to actually host, it's another thing to actually be the consumer. And when you shop, what made you shop during the live stream, and why do you think it's one of the most important factor in basically convincing people to shop live stream?
Sorry, who wants to go? Should I go? Okay, I'll go. Well, I just want to share a little bit about my background. Like my family were Chinese, and I have known about this whole shopping thing, online shopping thing through online live shopping through China, all that stuff. It's huge there. It's very normal for live streamers, live stream shopping and stuff. But here in the Philippines, I feel like we're not there yet, but we're getting towards there. We are now warming up to the idea of live streams and all that, because I think, as early as probably like 2 years ago, we don't have enough bandwidth to have a very smooth stream, and it's unheard of, to have live stream shopping. But as the technology progresses and all that, it's starting to become a norm. And for me personally, I would watch a live stream and I'll be like, I would not shop there yet, but then I will remember it when I see it. I'll be like, oh my God, wait, I remember seeing this on a live stream. I should probably get this. I want to check this out again. Like, I feel like we are not yet there, but we're going to get there very, very soon, where you see something, you want to buy it right away. And on top of that, I think, with technology, with all the delivery services, very, very soon, I feel like we are going to get stuff on demand. Like, we see this online, we see this on a live stream, we're like, okay, I like it, I'm going to order this. 2 hours later, it's in your doorstep. I feel like we're going to gear towards that in the next 2-3 years. So I don't know. I mean, Zalora, I think you guys might be doing that soon too. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like to add to Richard, I do love the Z Now service also. Maybe in the near future, it'll be like we have Z Now on steroids. So we can have it really like on the same
on
day.
demand.
Yeah, literally the next hour, hopefully, minus all the traffic. But anyway, so to add to, as a consumer watching a live stream show, and if I've shopped for one, I actually have. But I think this was it depends also. Like, I agree with what Richard said, that it definitely makes a bigger impact, knowing more about a particular item, and then having hosts really talk about it and really featuring it. Let alone when I receive, like, for example, a beauty product, when I read like more about what makes it nice and the fine print, and even like the catchy ad phrases, it gets to me. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a part of me now, and I am aligned with the brand. Same goes as with shopping for example, a dress. I've shopped for one before, but I think it was also because my friend was also the host of that show, and she was like, hey, Janeena, I see you, and all of that. So I think it also helps that, you know, you also want to support them, both that and also, you know, it feels empowering to actually add to cart. And actually, yeah, I shopped from a live stream. I can do that. Yeah. At the same time as I watch, I add it to cart and it's gonna be on its way to me. So it's fun having that holistic experience, and digital also.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this, Vijay?
So I think pretty much the immediacy of it, it's sort of like speed, and for me it's actually what's most important is this idea of like that you're learning from someone else. Like you're learning from someone who's almost like really good at what they're talking about, and it's real, it's authentic, and they're passionate about it. Whether you're passionate about shoes, or you're passionate about makeup, or whatever it is, when you have those conversations, and when I had my conversation on BeLive a couple of days ago, I learned so much. Like I can't believe it, and I've never learned that much about shoes before. Like it's, you know, it's so specific to the brand, to the make of the product, and just like understanding it, and really like taking it in. And then as a consumer, it makes me feel like, okay, if I learn so much about a product and know why it's good, then I'm gonna buy it because it's good for me, you know, and it's the perfect fit for me. And then I'm convinced, and I feel like, okay, this is worth spending my money on, because, you know, when I hear it from an expert, it's the same. Like, so for me, you know, maybe say like I want to get healthy, for example, and you know, I want to learn more about kale. And if we were talking about kale, for example, and you learn about all the nutritional benefits of kale, then I would feel like, wow, I really want to buy kale. Maybe it helps my skin look better. It makes me healthier. You know, it's an antioxidant. So in the same way, when I learn about a shoe and I find out like, wow, this is great for skateboarding, or this is great for when I go to a gig and I want to jump off the stage and land properly, the soul of it is going to survive for many years because this is great. Like, you know, Vans has brought you this. Then I feel like, all right, take my money, like go for it. Like, take all of it. Like, you know, I don't care. I'm just going to click and buy. And it's like that. It's instantly. Because I've done events where like I posted at a mall or like at a roadshow or whatever. And, you know, and I can talk about it and stuff, but sometimes people are just not listening. Here, it's like people are listening, they're in. And the reason why they're in is because they want to hear all the stuff that the host is talking about. And then they interact and they say like, wow, you know, some people are shy. Some people are like, you know, I wish I could go and talk to that host at the mall there and talk to him about the shoe. But like, I'm shy, I don't want to talk to him. But on a, you know, BeLive, you can chat, you're anonymous or a little bit, you know, you don't have to be worried about, what they'll think about me or whatever. You can have this conversation with us, and we're respectful as hosts to hear your voice and speak to you in this, and like there's a dialogue going on. Makes me want to buy that, whatever it is, you know. So I think that's the great thing about live streaming and BeLive overall.
Great. I mean, I'm super happy to hear all of this from you guys. And that, Alika, I think, you know, you're the last to answer this question. What will make you hop into live stream shopping if you haven't done so yet?
Well, I haven't done it. So, but I think I get it from customers' point of view, like seeing, I mean, I did the friends in
fashion, yeah.
Friends in fashion segment in the BeLive, and I think it's really interesting for us customers to see like people that we look up to. I mean, people that we see on Instagram and social media wearing the clothes, the shoes that we've been wanting to shop, or we haven't had the, you know, we're not sure how it will look like on real person. yeah, I think it somehow triggers the, like, the need and the want to shop those things. So yeah, I think that's, and also like the limited time for the promo and all the giveaways and all the vouchers that we can use immediately. And I think that what makes the customers and me want to shop.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think I'm trying to watch the time also. I don't want to be the guy who prevents everyone from their Friday lunch. So I think let's jump into the Q&A. We did have some questions from the media. So the first questions would be from, for the hosts from Preview. So Sophia from Preview is asking, how much does your local culture affect the content or style of your live stream? Could you tell us a bit on how you incorporate this while hosting? I think this is something that, Janeena, you can start off first.
Yeah, I guess initially, since in the Philippines, we also are English speakers too, like very much so, right? But at the same time, it's still different when you add like your local language, as mentioned earlier too. So it really helps that we have these ad libs, because yes, we have spiels as hosts, like as a guideline, just so we have a better structure and flow. But it's so important to have these localized conversations and these relatable terms. Like, for example, in the Philippines, we have this term called budol. Budol means what? Can you help me describe it, Richard? Like when you kind of like didn't think you would end up shopping, but you end up shopping for so much. Kind of influenced in a way, and you're like, so it's both like a good thing and a bad thing, but it's like a fun thing, because you're like, oh, budol, like it means you've shopped for so much. Yeah, so stuff like that. And also having guests that are, that are varied to, and are also specific to a certain product, and really talking about it in a real life, very relatable context. And it's good that, as mentioned by the other hosts as well, getting to really feel the texture, and then having feel the texture of the clothes and the items, and really opening, for example, like one time we had a bag that kind of transforms from a fanny pack into a backpack. Yeah, something like that. And being able to chat, this was it for Friends in Fashion too. We had beauty queens over. So that alone is already, the Philippines, we love the pageantry scene. It's a whole nother market altogether. But I think as a whole, we're just so enticed by that. So it was so fun how we were able to relate fashion to the beauty queens. Like we had them as guests. These are title holders as well, and placers. So when they were talking about how they would wear a certain kind of piece off cam, off duty, because we always see them glammed up in gowns. So that was very fun and exciting. And also when we announced our winners at the end, it was so funny, the giveaway winners, because it's like we announced it in a pageant way. So
I saw that.
Like, we all held hands and we were like, first runner up receiving. So it was like very hyped up, and personally we just had so much fun, like so much endless laughter. And then grand winner is receiving 25k Zalora DCs is and so like it was very fun and contextualized, because we love seeing that in the Philippines. Yeah,
Definitely, definitely cool, and it's also an entertainment factor, right? So that this entertains the audience, and this basically is something that will resonate with them. I think, Vijay, any thoughts on this? Since you're a very niche in terms of the program that you do, and the sneaker fans are really the fans that know their stuff. So
yeah. So what was really cool about it was also like, from Singapore, like we were speaking in Singlish, for example, where like people kind of relate to that a little bit more. Even when we were talking about like places, for example, wow, and I went for this gig the other day, or this thing and I saw. So when you speak about that sort of stuff, people relate a lot quicker. Like, oh yeah, I know that place. It's more immediate, and it feels more familiar, and that's important. in localization. And, like it or not, localization is the way to go, because one size is not going to fit the whole world or like fit the region or anything like that. So the heavy amount of localization makes the audience feel as though they're in there with you, and you're speaking the same language, you're speaking the same culture. If we're talking about sneakers, we're talking that same language as well. And in your Singaporean context, or in the beauty queen in Philippines, for example, that's their world, that's their dimension. And I think as culture progresses, things are going to get even more and more niche. If you're, like I was reading the other day about a China lipstick influencer, and all they do is they just review lipsticks, and they've got millions of followers. But this person knows lipsticks like the back of their hand. It's like inside out, everything about lipsticks is like in their head. They know it, and every brand wants to work with them. So it's becoming more and more like that. You need to know your culture and what it is about your product, and it's super specific, super niche, super calculated in that way.
Thank you so much. And definitely, I think, the authenticity factor is a major pull. So we have one question for you, Gunjan. I think Rama from Tempo is asking, how did Zalora develop a logistics system to support high quality shipping worldwide, especially in Indonesia or the Philippines, I guess? Is there any strategic plan to develop your own logistic company?
Okay, excellent question. We definitely have invested a lot, and we view this as one of our core competence. We have 3 warehouses across the region, and just between the last 1.5 years, we've, while we are all suffering from the pandemic, at the same time, we've been actually growing capacity in our warehouses. Given that digital what we call capabilities of shipping across countries, and we are the only unique one that doing it in Southeast Asia. So what that does is that sitting in Indonesia, we obviously have products in our local warehouse, but we also have products in the Malaysia warehouse. And when a particular size runs out in the local warehouse, we can actually cross ship from Malaysia if the customer would like to. So we're trying to also bring the region together in terms of introducing products from one country to another. Are we going to offer it as a logistics service? Yes, we've already have started to offer that. Our strategy is to limit it only to our brand partners, however. So the service is only available to the brands that we work with. You can work with us in 2 ways as brands. One is for us to ship on behalf of you, of course, for the Zalora customers, but we also help them with a single stock solution, as we call it, whereby we can also help them ship to consumers who are probably buying on their online retail brand.com store, or in some cases, even on other platforms that they would like us to serve. So yes, we absolutely are using the strategic advantage to create a logistics offering, which is, however, only offered to the brand partners that work with us.
Thank you, Gunjan. I think you can actually find out more about our 1SS and fulfillment program. We've just recently had a webinar, I think yesterday, 2 days ago. So it's actually on our Zalora LinkedIn. So we actually shared a little bit more information. You can get a bit more information for that. And if you want more, we can actually you can actually ask the local PR heads in Zalora Indonesia or Zalora Philippines, and they'll be able to help you get all the information you need. So then my next question is for Kenneth. What is the major pull for Southeast Asia consumers, more specifically, for countries like PH, to watch or view the shows? Is it the type of shows? Is it the deals? Is it the promos? Is it the celebrity or the personality guests that they have? What do you think is the major pull for any consumer in the region to watch a live stream show? I think you're on mute, Kenneth.
Yeah, so it's a great question, Renz, and you actually listed really well the factors for success for a live streaming show. I would then zoom in a little bit on the celebrities and personality guests and the hosts of course, as we keep coming back to as a recurring theme, super important for the personalities to really shine through when you run the show. And the content production values, which I think Zalora does really well as well, of the sets, the scripts, the offers, and the of course the ability to shop directly. And that's not present in many of platforms we see being popular, like Facebook, for example. So definitely, very specialized live shopping platforms or features would have a major pull. We see this continuing as a trend for the next 2 or 3 years. Not going to die down. I think live video is going to be a necessity for all of us. Yeah.
I think my last question for both of you, Gunjan and Kenneth, would be, what do you think is the future of live streaming?
Gunjan, you want to go first?
Sure, happy to. Well, Chris, we discussed many aspects of it, but I think the future is sitting right here in, around us. We have the technology. Kenneth and his team represent that. We as a platform for brands and for content bring the supply. And most importantly, as we've all been talking about throughout the last hour, it's all the lovely hosts here. You are the soul of the content, and you are the future. And I hope that this platform will also help create many other influencers and celebs just like you. So not just a level playing field for brands, but also a platform to encourage more talent for them to be able to showcase their capabilities as well, because it's very different to be able to host a live stream and to invest the time in understanding the products and build that capability and expertise, as you were talking about, Vijay, than just to be present on normal social media platforms.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because we see live streaming as an indispensable tool for engagement and marketing. Just by our research alone, we've done really deep dives into live streaming video. By 2025, this is shocking, 95% of advertisers will use live video as a promotional tool. So Zalora is way ahead of its time. And we think that the more investment is being made in this industry, be it content production, be it technology advancements, it can only bode well for eventually online shoppers who can then get more authentic experiences. They can engage with their favorite personalities online directly. So yeah, we're super excited for this medium and very happy to be shaping the future of retail with Zalora.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Kenneth and Gunjan. And I think just the final words from our hosts. You can invite them to watch your shows since this is a programmatic and they can actually catch you soon. Let's start with Vijay from Singapore.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Final words and basically invite them for your shows.
I'm really to me, this is like super visionary, like this whole ZLive platform, and it's kind of one step ahead of the rest, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. And I think this, again, like I always say, this is going to be the new normal, and I'm excited that Zalora is the first one to engage in it, to sort of like change the landscape. I don't see the other brands, e-commerce companies doing this much. So doing that and being the sort of like first step leader in this is a huge step. And it's just going to get more and more exciting, more competitive. There's just going to be a lot more in the market. And it's great for hosts like us, because then, there's like a lot of opportunity there. Great for the consumer because they can click and buy right away. They get the best deals, they learn about the product. So it's like fantastic for everybody. And this is a sign of the times, it's 2021, this is how it's done.
Thank you, Vijay. And Janeena and Richard, so since you co-host a show, any invitations for everyone to join you?
Go ahead, Chard.
Yeah, so for us, me and Janeena were hosting hot sales, so we're super excited for that because, like what I mentioned earlier, we just have fun on the set. We just talked about all these products that are on sale, which I'm sure a lot of people get really excited. And yeah, of course, I have another show also, which is called Style Challenge, and that's with Angelique Manto, where we will have guests sometimes, and we have different challenges where we have to style it up a little bit. Sometimes you got to look. I mean, our last episode we were talking about like a Zoom meeting outfit, and then we were like, I mean, just to share a little joke. So we were like, okay, we just need to prepare the top. We don't need to prepare the bottom because no one can see what we're wearing down here. So, so yeah, again, this is going to be like a new normal. A lot of live stream shopping is going to happen, and Zalora being one of the forefront for this, I am super excited to see how this is eventually going to grow. And by 2025, I think with what Kenneth said, I mean, this is going to be a norm. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be part of this history where we are one of the pioneers of this.
Yes, exactly. Copy paste, Richard. So yes, we have hot sales and also friends in fashion. So I'm really excited to have more guests. Sometimes it's a surprise for me also, like, okay, who am I guesting today? So it's fun. And I love like being able to chat up conversations with real people. And you know, a lot of these celebrities, sometimes when you chat with them live, like they lose the I don't know, like they're just so relatable somehow, so much more relatable than they are when you watch them in either, I don't know, their other shows or movies and stuff. And yeah, I just want to commend the entire team. I know for the Philippines, there are kind of similar live stream, you know, shopping, online live streaming apps or platforms, but somehow Zalora is really, I've been an OG Z Crew member. I've always loved Zalora and how they're able to really elevate everything. So I know that we are in good hands. Having partnered with Metro Channel as well here in the Philippines. I mean, we have like a full-on studio. It just feels so much more legit too. And I'm just so excited to grow more with Zalora and Z Live. Yeah. Thank you so
and
much.
we're super happy to have you, Janeena, for years now. And Alika, I think you also have been working with us pretty closely in the past few years. I think your final thoughts on Z Live, and hopefully we see you in more shows in the future.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be invited to more shows, to more live shows of Zalora, maybe more Friends in Fashion episodes. But yeah, I'm really hoping it will gather more audience and people will lean more towards live shopping because it's really interesting. And I think it's going to be the new normal now since we really can't go anywhere to shop. And yeah, I think that's it.
Great. I think that's about it, guys. I mean, I've stolen 4 minutes of your time from the 11 to 12, but it's really engaging conversation. So I thank all the panelists, Gunjan, Kenneth, Janeena, Richard, Vijay, and Alika for joining us this morning. And now it's in the afternoon. We're super happy to hear from you. And I'm also thanking everyone from the media across the region. I know we've handpicked some of you to join us, and we really wanted this to be a special conversation with you. And thank you for sending in your questions. If you do have follow-up questions, please feel free to send us an email. The local teams will be able to get in touch with you and will be able to answer most of those questions. And more importantly, please tune in for Z Live. We're doing this every week. You're going to see more shows coming up. And you're seeing Janeena, Richard, and Vijay, and Alika in most of our shows. And you know, the rest of the 35 crew that we've done and engaged so far. So thank you so much. And we do hope to see you again when we have more news to share, especially we're gearing up for a 10th year anniversary next year. So with this, goodbye, everyone. Paalam, terima kasih, and siyasiye.
Thank you, everybody.